So I was looking through Sidley and I was wondering what are people concerned about these days because we see the interest rates constantly increasing. And then I came across a post about SSB as a source of passive income, which we have talked about many times, but I wanted to find out more, so I dive into the rabbit hole to provide you with all the numbers. So if you're new to the channel, we have talked about SSB quite a bit on this channel, and maybe a little bit too much.
Attitude, a little too much.
But hey, these are good investments that everyone can get on board and leverage to grow your money. So for the uninformed, SSB or Singapore Savings Bond are a safe and flexible bond for individual investors like me and you because it's backed by the Singapore government. So SSB is a pretty long-term investment over a period of 10 years, but don't let that scare you.
I'm scared, Stacy, hold my hand.
So even though the maturity is at 10 years, if you have invested into SSB, you can always withdraw your investment, which can then be used for other investments if there are better opportunities available. And in current times, there are some hacks to use SSB as a way to constantly get passive income every single month. So now imagine if you can get money every single month on a consistent basis, which can be really helpful in times like now where things are constantly increasing in prices. So SSB pays out interest every 6 months. So this means that if you start investing in June, the next payment that you'll get is in the month of December. And then you'll get another payment in June next year, and then December again. So this cycle goes on for 10 years. So that's the basics of SSB. And now that we know how it works, we can play within the rules to create a ladder. So a ladder is essentially a system where you stack your investments on a monthly basis, and this creates a monthly payment of interest for you. So to start with this ladder, you need to constantly invest in SSB for a minimum of 6 months. But if you do invest more than 6 months, then this will increase the interest over time. So I've taken some time to plot out a few scenarios where we invest for 6 months, 12 months, and 24 months. And to keep things simple, we'll use the basic investment amount of $1,000, which I think is pretty conservative. And for the interest rates, we'll be using the data that MAS has provided for SSB for the last 24 months. So granted that these interest rates will change and have changed over time, these numbers will vary depending on when you watch this video. So now if we compare the number of interest that we theoretically get in the month of April 2023, it will be as follows. So if you have invested in a 6 months ladder strategy, you will end up with a payment of roughly $15 because you are only relying on one single SSB payout. But for the 12 months ladder strategy, we'll end up with roughly $30 of interest because we got some interest from the previous cycle. Since SSB pays every 6 months, we get almost double that amount. And for the 24-month strategy, we'll get roughly $46 of interest, and this amount might seem a little bit low, but we need to account that for the interest back then in 2021, the rates were much lower as compared to current times. And you can see that if we started investing in May 2021, we were only getting 1.5% of interest, which is half of what we are getting right now. But the main takeaway I want you guys to have is to constantly stack our SSB, which might very well be able to churn some passive income, which will come in handy to pay off bills or maybe even fund a portion of a short holiday. So if you do appreciate the work that's done to tabulate every single data that's available out there, dropping us a like will be tremendous. So just before you go all into this ladder strategy, we need to discuss the pros and cons of this strategy as well.
All in.
Jake goes all in.
So starting with the pros, there are 3 main reasons why you should look at SSB ladder strategy as part of your portfolio. So the first benefit is that SSB is capital guaranteed. So this means that in whatever situation you might be in, the capital will be returned to you because it's backed by the government. Other than fixed deposit that has SDIC insurance, there's probably no other investments out there that can provide such a safety net. And it's really cheap to get started with only at $500. Second is liquidity. So by looking at the case of the 24-month ladder strategy, something we can do is to readjust these bonds by redeeming bonds that are paying less and moving those monies into bonds that are paying higher interest. So for example, something I would do is to redeem the bonds from May 2021 to March 2022 and apply for those bonds that pay at least 2 to 3%, which will give me more bang for my buck.
He's gonna want a little more bang for his buck.
Lastly, SSB is a long-term investment. So SSB has a maturity period of 10 years. So this means that even if in the future interest rate drops, you will still be getting the same interest rates that you have locked in for. So this can be something good looking at how uncertain things are right now. So now on to the bad side of SSB. So to be honest, there isn't really much bad side to investing in SSB, and there is only really 2 cons that I can think of which is low interest rates and the maximum amount that you can invest in. So if you look at SSB interest rates, right now it's sitting at 2.82%, which is considered pretty low. And when you put it side by side with inflation of 5% in Singapore, we're losing money.
I'm losing money.
But there are definitely some other instruments out there that do provide interest or dividends of 3 to 4% or some even 5 to 6%. So like STI ETF or ES3 pays a dividend of roughly 3.4%. A fixed deposit with ICBC Bank pays a 3.5%. Local banks like UOB give a 2.9% for fixed deposits. So these higher interest rates do come with caveats as well, like taking a little bit more risk with stocks or locking your money with the bank for a stated period of time when you're doing fixed deposits. So the second con here is the maximum investable amount. So I wanted to leave this out because it's a really huge sum of money that not many of us will have access to, but if you do, then good on you. So with SSB, the maximum amount that you can invest as an individual is at $200,000. So I looked at the past interest rates that SSB has since it started in 2015 and came to a conclusion that the average yield is only at 2.01%, which ties back to the first con of having very little interest. So at 2.01%, this means that you get roughly $330 per month of passive income, which isn't too shabby, but if you were to put it into a fixed deposit like ICBC, you can get at least 3.45% for a 3 months tenure, which comes up to $575 per month, and that makes a lot more sense. So if you got $200,000 lying around, you're better off putting your money somewhere else.
I put all your money on Black 17.
So I guess one of the biggest questions that you have right now is, should I use SSB Ladder Strategy? And the simple answer is yes. So if you're just starting out with investing, using the ladder strategy will help you build a habit of constantly investing over a period of time.
I gotta get in the habit!
And once you start investing, it will probably pique your interest in other investment instruments like stocks, ETF, funds, and all that good stuff. And hopefully by then, SSB could be a money printer for you, where you can reinvest that interest into other instruments that can bring you more yield. Or maybe you can even start redeeming your SSB and channel those funds into other investments as well. So this brings us to the end of today's video. If you've gotten some value out of it, dropping a like will mean a ton for us. If you want more of such content, don't forget to subscribe so you stay notified when a new video comes out. And as always, stay safe, invest safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.